Hello everyone, it's Charlton. Okay. First off, stay with me. I don't know if I'm gonna do this all in this video, but major blockbuster. It's major, okay? And much of this has been theoretical in my head up to this point. And I don't know how much I want to reveal because I want to do my very best to get the best result. Basically for the victims, you know? That's my goal at this point. And I'm kind of speaking to the attorneys of the victims. I don't know if they know this. I don't think they do. And because there's various groups of attorneys. I know everybody knows Kathleen Lombardo, but I don't know where she's from exactly. I think I want to say Texas, but there's another attorney in Texas. There's some in California. But if what I was saying is that there's this group of creators on YouTube that are basically helping the hotel convince the survivors, convince the family members of victims who are probably all tied up in this lawsuit, convince them that this could easily be categorized as terrorism, as an act of terrorism. Convince them of that. Because of wherever they look, because of every time they go onto their phone and search Google or search YouTube, but mostly Google. That's what people do. They search Google. But all the different things, whatever it is, everything feeds through Google. Whether it's YouTube videos, social media posts, forums, news articles, blog posts, videos, etc. But if they convince those victims, the survivors, and the family members of victims that are basically being represented by the attorneys that are fighting with the hotel, fighting with MGM, convince them that this could easily be categorized or labeled an act of terrorism, basically scaring them into settling, because they're worried. Probably they're worried that because if it was categorized an act of terrorism, that means basically the federal government's on the hook. And the hotel's liability is basically zero, gone completely. And now I think that means that the victims will get much less, but also probably means they'll be tied up in court forever, okay? And it means that basically nothing will ever change because you and I will end up paying the victims probably less than they get otherwise, because of the huge money behind, the hotel casino. Let me keep going. All right, but if this is true, I always knew in my mind that, the attorneys that are representing the hotel are massive. I just looked it up quickly before I made this video. And the two different firms that are actually representing the plaintiff in the case where the hotel is suing the victims. And that was all meant to try to kick it up to federal court, and they're claiming that this is a Safety Act issue, and but that basically presumes that it's an act of terrorism. And that's not, they don't get to define it themselves that way. And I'm telling you right now, it's not the Department of Homeland Security. The federal government is who determines whether or not it's an act of terrorism. No local county sheriff or some insurance database or anything else other than the Department of Homeland Security gets to define whether it's an act of terrorism or not. You think some local county sheriff can call it an act of terrorism and then it just is automatically the federal government, the U.S. taxpayers on the hook? No, of course not. That's absurd. All right, so where was I? But the two law firms that are representing MGM in that lawsuit, representing the plaintiff, actually in that case, because in that case, the MGM is actually suing the victims, and everyone's like freaking out, like, what are they doing suing the victims? But they're the plaintiff there. Those two law firms are massive, huge. All right, each one, and they're two. I forget the names. I just saw them 2 seconds ago, but it doesn't matter. One of them grows $314 million in 2017. The other one grows, I think, $268 million in 2017. And they have multiple offices: Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York, and probably more than that. But if what I'm suggesting, that there's this group of basically PR professionals, but today's PR professionals are, online PR professionals. They're YouTube creators. They're social media, persons that know those mediums. But if they're being used to basically influence a very specific group that, the victims' families, the survivors, those who are being represented in the lawsuit, they wouldn't do, those law firms would never, just outright do that. And they'd probably just use a third-party law firm. Okay, some small, obscure law firm that's unrelated to them. And the billing, believe me, would never reflect that. It would reflect something else. They'd be paid for some other service when there'd be an understanding that their purpose was what I just described. The same thing, even with that attorney, that third-party attorney that's outside of the law firm that's representing the hotel, the person they hire, they would hire him as a consultant or something to label that they could put a bill on and pay them for. But they're paying that person basically for nothing because that's not the person who's actually going to be the one making the videos. It will be, his associates, maybe his family members. Okay? So that was my theory. Hopefully I got all that. And if I didn't get the first part right in terms of the Safety Act, and basically the Safety Act is bad for the victims, believe me, if it wasn't bad for the victims, the attorneys representing the victims wouldn't be fighting it, now would they? It's bad for them. And it's bad, it's just wrong anyways. Calling something that's not an act of terrorism, an act of terrorism, so that the U.S. taxpayer has to pay for it. And again, I don't know if I said this, but if that happens, nothing ever changes. If you're a company and, somebody else is going to pay when there's a mistake, why would you put out money to change things if somebody else is going to pay for it every time there's something that goes wrong? Of course you wouldn't. You'd say both. They pay for it when something goes wrong, and I don't have to pay for changing it, because why would I change it? Because they're going to pay for it when it goes wrong. It's not tough, dude. So, but that was my theory. We're at 7 minutes, 25 seconds. That was my thought process. And I'm not going to name names here, okay? I can't. I probably can, actually, because all these people are public. They're not necessarily public officials, but some of them are. Some of them flat out are. They've been on the news, or they're a journalist, or, they're just a fairly high-profile attorney in Las Vegas. I don't know if that makes them a public figure or not. The irony of this is that, it's actually what they were hired to do. This group of creators, online influencers, whatever. That's my own word, I just made that up. To basically fool the victims into thinking that this is what everybody else is thinking, and this is, that it was an act of terrorism, basically. And scare them into taking a settlement. But, what was I saying? Okay, so, well, let me just, I know what I was saying, sorry. The irony is that basically it's the search results. That's what you have to affect, okay? And you do that through, like I said in the beginning, you do that through all the other various mediums because they all feed through the search engine, Google. But the hilarious thing is that what I came across was from searching. Because I was searching, preparing for my last video, and something popped up. Because it was designed to pop up for what I searched. It's nothing major behind that. But still, what I found from that, and I'll call this person Calvin Coolidge. That's what my name for this person will be, Calvin Coolidge, okay? Came across this Calvin Coolidge attorney dude in Las Vegas, okay? And, all right, so when I searched this person, these are made up names, okay? These are not real people. I'm just using names so that I can have some way to describe it to you. and show you the coincidence that just absolutely hit me like a bolt of lightning. And you can draw your own conclusions, man. And so can the attorneys for the victims or anybody else, you know, who basically was pretty startled by what I found. I couldn't believe it. Like I said, up until now, this was all just in my head. It's just theories I had. And when I found this, that basically kind of went right along with what I was thinking, I was shocked. So this attorney that I've just talked about, and I gave him a fake name. It's a made-up name of Calvin Coolidge. When I searched his last name, Coolidge, and I searched the last name of this other big creator I had in mind that's been, used to be a Vegas creator, I found somebody else with the same last name, with the same last name of Coolidge, and I believe is the spouse of somebody with the same last name as the creator. Just seemed like a very, very, very big coincidence to me. And I don't even know that they're a spouse, this person Coolidge and this person who's actually a judge. She's a public figure. I mean, I don't necessarily even have to conceal her identity. She is. She's been in the news. She's appeared on the news herself. She was a judge in Miami, and you know, I think the two of them settled somewhere else from there. But the fact that this person, the attorney in Las Vegas, who's got blog posts, you know, that basically are questioning the official narrative and various things, believe me, I search his name along with the name of the creator I'm thinking of, and I found another person with that same last name. That same last name as that attorney, seemingly married to somebody with the same last name as that creator. It's just too much for me, man. All right, before I wrap this up, I mean, I would say one question I have is I wonder if this attorney, and this name is fake, it's completely made up, it's just somebody I'm using this so I can discuss it with you. I wonder if this attorney is being paid by the hotel in some capacity, any capacity, you know, and naturally, the obvious thing would be to hire them for something other than what you really wanted them to do, so that there would be no paper trail as to what I'm talking about. Okay, I mean, but if this person is being invoiced, is being paid by the hotel, that's a big problem, man. You know, if these connections add up, it is. And I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to draw any conclusions. I'll continue to work on this. And, but it's, you know, I wish I could tell you more. I really do. And, you know, all along this path, you know, there's been times where with various persons that, not all, but some, I think from the beginning were trying to fool me and came posing as something they weren't. You know, but, you know, in this group of creators that are trying to basically influence, they're not all the same. Believe me, they're not. Some have no scruples. Believe me, none. And others do. And they're a little squeamish with this concept. And there was moments where, and they should have scruples. It's just, you know, it's a good thing to have those scruples, I promise you. But there was just moments where I was like, you know, I started to figure things out a long time ago. All right, I'm going to end this video. We'll get into more later. I'm too tired and I got to do some work. I'm exhausted. You know what? But before I end this video, I want to show you one more piece of a fox, man. Another fox in broad daylight. And this is like in broad daylight. And this is not even around my house. I was dropping off my nephew, you know, this afternoon today. And it's right there. It's looking at me. I'm driving with my truck along it. I don't know what the deal is. I can't imagine. We were parked pretty far from my house. I can't imagine the same fox. I don't think it is. But I'm starting to worry that maybe there's been a ton of construction. That could be it. I don't know. But I'm just worried he's rabbit or something. He's just roaming. I don't know. Anyways, thanks. I'll show you in a sec. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. And I'll see you in the next video. You can see it. No, come on. Later, man.